Yesterday was very exciting because I got my 100,000 subscriber YouTube custom created plaque in the mail, and that's very exciting. You know, I've been at 100K a couple weeks now. I put in the request like immediately for that plaque, and I'll post a picture of it here. I already posted it on Twitter, and it's just like really cool to remind myself that, oh yeah, that's something that I did. It's a big milestone, and hopefully you guys have noticed that the content has gotten better in the past couple weeks. I've really been trying to make every single video better than the last one. I think that really shows in the views and the comments and all those great things. In today's video, we have a surprising addition to the Commenters Don't Understand series because people actually did mostly agree with what I had to say about Dark Magician. And in that video, I described some of the issues that I had, not necessarily with Dark Magician as a deck or Dark Magician as a card, but rather the fan base revolving around that particular strategy. In that video, I mentioned that one of the problems with me talking about Dark Magician is that oftentimes I'm flooded with negative comments about the deck. However, when I posted that video, maybe it's because of what that video was talking about, but I've noticed that I got mostly positive feedback from you guys. Not only players that didn't play Dark Magician obviously agree with me, but also Dark Magician players, both casual and more competitive, that were saying things like, yeah, I like the deck a lot, but I see where you're coming from. This is pretty much the first time I've ever been surprised with how well a comment section went. In general, I know how it's going to go for the most part. When I upload videos like why nobody plays Chaos Max Dragon or Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, I know there's going to be a lot of negative comments from people that haven't played the game in a while. However, with the Dark Magician video, I was extremely surprised, and in a good way, that you guys mostly supported what I was saying. However, that being said, even though most of the comments were positive, so many in fact that I wanted to change the title of this video so that it's not a negative sort of connotation, I do want to go over some of the funnier negative comments that I got. Now, there weren't that many of them, but the ones I did get, they're pretty funny, so we'll read those in today's video. But even though I've been posting positive comments throughout this video so far, just know that there were many more, and I'm super happy that you guys gave so much awesome feedback. You just don't understand some things. For you, everything is about winning and gameplay and whatever. People just like to play Dark Magician, and you should let them and their archetype alone, or leave them and, oh, it says let them, but leave them and their archetype alone for fuck's sake. Otherwise, you were just a salty kid desperate for attention, even of this kind. Relax a little. We know you don't like Dark Magician decks, but you should really chill. Unsubbed a long time ago. I always love the comments that say like, oh, by the way, I unsubbed like a few videos ago or a few years ago. No one cares. Anyway, as far as this comment goes, I mean, this one was pretty funny. This is one of the earliest sort of negative comments that people left. And here's the deal. As I said in that video, I don't care if people play Dark Magician decks. I don't hate Dark Magician decks. In fact, I think it's a cool sort of historic card in all of Yu-Gi-Oh's history. However, I also don't like when people pretend that their casual strategies are competitive. One of the cooler things that you might notice from some of the comments that I've shown at the beginning of this video is that a lot of people are totally fine playing Dark Magician as a casual deck, while also acknowledging that it's not quite good enough to be competitive. That's totally fine. We all have casual decks that we enjoy playing. I enjoy playing Fluffles and Sky Scourge and all those other strategies like Crystal Beast even, but I don't bring those cards to tournaments because I don't want to lose a whole bunch of times, and that's okay. You can enjoy playing a deck while also acknowledging some of its shortcomings, and in the case of a deck like Dark Magician or Crystal Beast or Fluffles, the shortcoming is that it's not a very competitive strategy, which is fine, but just don't pretend that it is. And that's kind of what I've preached a bunch of times in past videos, but that's kind of where this comment was stemming from, was me sounding like I was angry at Dark Magician players. But really, I don't care if you play Dark Magician. Like, have fun playing your deck, just don't come in the comment section and pretend it's much better than it actually is. This next comment is pretty long, and I wasn't going to read the entire thing, but I had to read the entire thing and suffer through it, so I think that you guys should have to as well, just so you can get the full picture here. I disagree with what you're saying for viable reasons. One, how you build the deck is important. This is true with any deck, which I agree with, by the way, but what he's referring to is how I mentioned in that video that just because the deck is built a different way doesn't necessarily make the archetype a lot better. Everyone thinks they have their own special sauce, secret sauce, whatever. Two, a skilled and creative can make it work. I have built a tuned Dark Magician deck and won locals with it. Wow, a locals win. I mean, I couldn't imagine a bad deck winning a locals. And then he goes on, this whole rest of the comment is talking about like one match he had, and I just found it hilarious because he's using so many bad cards, and I think when he's writing this, he's thinking that this is like proving how powerful his version of Dark Magicians are, when anyone that's like halfway decent in the game just knows that it's like a ridiculous situation. One of my starting plays going first in that same tournament was placing Magician Navigation and Black Illusion face down. During my opponent's draw, so keep in mind his first turn is set to pass. During my opponent's draw phase, I activated Magician Navigation, summoned Dark Magician, then summoned 2 Dark Magician from my deck, and special summon Magician of Dark Illusion by its own effect. During the standby phase, I played Black Illusion to protect them all. Next turn, so that's his entire... I wonder what his opponent was doing, because he doesn't really mention any of that. Next turn, I drew and used the effect of Toon Dark Magician to special summon Toon Dark Magician Girl. I played Toon Rollback. I love that he's putting quotation marks around all the names, like he's writing an actual like article. Attacking my opponent with Toon Dark Magician twice for 5,000 damage, then attacking for 2,000 damage with Toon Dark Magician Girl. In short, I ended up winning 2 turns later. I also thought to put 4 copies of Reborn Tengu into that deck and could get out 3 Toon Dark Magician Girl in 1 turn. If I have 2 Dark Magician in my grave, I can OTK or use Toon Rollback for 8,000 damage, and if I don't. All of that is like so bad, so inconsistent. He's playing so many just terrible cards in his Dark Magician deck, and that's kind of I mean, I know he was trying to prove me wrong, but actually what he did is sort of prove exactly what I was talking about in that video. All these players that are playing decks like that with 4 Reborn Tengus and 3 Toon Dark Magician Girls, they're the people that actually think that their version is better than everyone else's, when in reality that's probably one of the least competitive sort of combos I've ever heard for a Dark Magician deck. Dark Magician does have some win conditions. There have been some semi-successful builds of the strategy, as I mentioned in that original video, but they weren't playing all these trash cards, and that's, I think, showing just the huge disconnect from casual players and competitive players. Judging by the fact that he said he was proud of winning that locals and he was sort of bragging about it, I would assume this player has never been to a regional qualifier or YCS, obviously, and that really does go to show that when you go to locals only, you really don't know what the game is about. That's something that we all have to learn eventually. I went to locals for years before going to a regional qualifier, and I thought I was pretty darn good at the game. I mean, I was younger back then, but I really did think I had some cool tech options. I remember playing Castle Gate. That was a card I've talked about in the past. Really bad card, but I thought it was super slick that you could summon it with Giant Rat. And then I went to my first regional qualifier and went 0-4 drop, and I was like, holy crap, this game is so much more complex than I thought it was, just so many more dynamic things than I really knew even existed. And that's kind of what needs to happen. Well, it doesn't need to happen, but one of the things that could happen to players like this is that they don't realize how bad their strategy is, how bad those combos are, until they actually go to a bigger event. But if they never go to a bigger event, they'll never realize that, and then they'll just kind of be stuck in this world where they think playing 4 Reborn Tengu is a viable strategy. I'm fine with Dark Magician not being competitive. I'm more of a casual player when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh! Anyway, and I'm going to be completely honest, I don't care about competitive play, and you want to know why? I really don't. Because everything is either FTK for the win, or OTK, or even I looped you to death, herder. Oh my gosh, that's so cringe. How is that fun to anyone? Well, that's not, whatever. It shouldn't always be one turn I win. That's not how the game should be played. Hell, one of the reasons I picked Dark Magician as my deck to play with is because I just like the way it played. That's really weird. Now, of course, my deck isn't the norm. Of course it isn't. Every Dark Magician player has their own unique strategy. Hell, I mostly play on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, but anyway, to get back on track, my deck consists of, and then he just spends his whole time listing his entire deck card by card, and I just have to ask, why? Like, why do you think anyone cares about this? I don't understand why you're doing this. And this is something that I've noticed in several comment sections of things like Blue Eyes and Red Eyes and Dark Magician specifically. People just want to share their deck list, even though no one asked for it, and even though it's terrible. I mean, even from a casual standpoint, this deck has so many horrible one-ofs, and it's just, this is what I'm talking about. This is a thing where this person's saying, I don't play the norm, and they show their list, and it's like, oh yeah, I guess that isn't normal because it's way below average in terms of deck building, consistency, all those things. Then he goes on to say, I realize this comment consisted of nothing but me showing what I have in my deck. At least he acknowledges it, but you know what? I did have a point to prove. I don't care if my deck is considered inconsistent. That's good, because it is. I don't care if my deck size isn't 40. I mean, no one cares. And I don't care if I'm more than likely going to lose. I just like playing the deck I like, and now I'm expecting 2 million comments saying lose this or get rid of those, or even dude, just FTK with this herder. Oh my gosh, herder's in there twice, in which I will most likely not do. It's my deck, and I'll use it however I want. There isn't a single reply to that comment. I just want to make that very clear. No, this comment did not get 2 million replies. It didn't even get one reply because no one cares about your bad Dark Magician list. I think that's kind of like the disconnect here with some of the few negative comments in that video, is that people are like, I'm throwing my Dark Magician list out there and everyone's going to say that they hate it. But in reality, no one really cares. Like, you can play whatever you want. I agree with some of what he was saying, but I don't think he realized that I would. He can play whatever he wants. If he wants to play a terrible version of an already casual strategy, go ahead. That he's allowed to. I don't care. That's kind of what I'm talking about, where I say these people think that I care a ton about them playing a bad version of this already bad deck, but in reality, no one really does. You can have fun at your locals, or have fun against your friends, or have fun on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro. It won't really affect anyone in the grand scheme of things. People don't get so up in arms about it, and in fact, usually what happens is that these super casual players like this person get more up in arms against the competitive players than vice versa. It's just something that I personally have noticed in the many times that I've read these sort of funny comments when people write their deck lists. They just want to get people angry about how bad their deck list is to sort of prove something. I'm not really sure what that is, when in reality, people just don't care and probably won't reply to that person. Although I guess I replied to it in this video, but mostly just because it's so darn funny. Anyway though, that's gonna wrap up today's video on commenters understand Dark Magician. It's not commenters don't understand. I do want to make it very clear, I mean, I've said it a bunch of times now, but most of the comments on that video were positive. I was so surprised. It was really cool to see that because we don't really get that so much. I mean, usually the comments on videos are mostly going to be positive, but sometimes on the Why Nobody Plays videos especially, you're going to get a ton of negative comments. Maybe if that was a Why Nobody Plays Dark Magician video, it would have been even more negative than these few comments that I found, but in general, the comments were pretty positive, even from Dark Magician players, which tells me that I did my job describing my situation in that video. Anyway though, I'll see you guys later. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.